Welcome back to Good Morning, LaLa on Thought Thursday. It's all about inspiration and positivity around here. So no one better than an activist, optimist, positive author himself. Shola Richards is in the house. Great author. How are you, hon?
Great, Dr. Erin. Thanks for having me.
So glad you're here.
I'm glad to be here.
So tell us a little bit about what you do and what your journey.
You know, it's funny, at the top of the show when you're talking about quantum leaps, right? So my thing is around kindness, specifically in the workplace. And it kind of came from a dark place, to be honest. And 14 years ago, I was working in a work environment that can only be described as soul destroying. And that's not meant to for hyperbolic effect, sincerely soul destroying. And to make a long story very short, 14 years ago, when going to this workplace where I was being repeatedly bullied and harassed for about 2.5 years, I made a decision I was going to take my own life. And the decision that I made, it wasn't just thinking about it, I actually attempted. So 14 years ago, I was driving down the 405 freeway in Los Angeles, and I decided I was going to try to drive my car off the overpass to make it look like an accident. And for reasons that I don't quite know, the guardrail held. Make a long story short, I came onto the shoulder of the road and I made a decision in that moment. That was like my spiritual awakening, for lack of a better way of putting it. It's like what was happening to me, I did not want to happen to anyone else. And I was thinking to myself, gosh, am I the only person dealing with this? 50+ million Americans are dealing with workplace bullying and harassment in the workplace. I'm like, why isn't someone doing something about this? I was like, well, hey, man, you're somebody, do something. And here I am.
I'm a firm believer that whatever our darkest thing, our most suffering, our trials, that's the calling.
Agree.
That's the calling. And it touches me and it brings tears to my eye because I know there's so many people that are suicidal and they don't want to hurt their family. And they think about how can I do it without having it look like I took my life, because that would be so cruel, right? But if it was an accident,
that's right.
If something happened. So thank you for saying that part of it, because I think so many people probably have thought of that won't come out of the closet with that.
And sadly, too, Dr. Erin, I think now there's so many people in 2017, the World Health Organization listed depression as the #1 cause of disability in our world. And there's so many people suffering, so many viewers of the show, so many people who maybe are just in the workplace suffering in silence. This is an opportunity to bring to light and get them the help that they need.
Yeah, so true. Wow. And I know that all of us.
Just incredible. I mean, so inspiring. And of course, it strikes a chord within my own heart. How did you pivot from that moment when you had the awakening to being able to write these books? Because it's a bit of a journey usually. It takes a little time to turn those thoughts, those experiences around. What did you do and how did you get here?
Pain's a great motivator, Rob, right? You know this, Yeah. So I was in a position where I had to do something. I just couldn't sit and do nothing. That wasn't an option. So I took my pain and I wrote the books that I most needed. If I was struggling, if someone write these books about how to deal with toxic workplaces, difficult bosses, how to work in an environment where no one's there to help you, human resources is not a resource that's willing to save you, reclaiming your own power is really my thing. And so when I had the least of it was when I needed to start the process of gaining most of it. And so far, it's worked out pretty well.
I see that. Indeed,
So give us some tips. For somebody who's out there that is dealing with not a great work environment, what can they do?
First thing first, and I cannot say this enough, is the willingness to accept that you are being targeted as a workplace victim or bully. I don't like to use victim really, but a target of workplace harassment or bullying. So that's a hard step because a lot of people are like, you know what, maybe I just, I'm too thin-skinned and I'm not ready to deal with it. If someone is verbally abusing you, God forbid, physically abusing you, in some cases they are doing things to make your workplace toxic in whatever way, being honest to me, like, listen, this is happening to me. That's the first thing. Gather your friends. Get people who work with you who may understand what's happening and be like, you know what? I want to use these people as kind of a strength in numbers type of a thing to make sure that most bullies aren't bullying one person, usually bully a group. And then document clearly what's happening. Be really real about the documentation and make your case.
Wow.
And do you make that case with who? Do you make that case to the HR? Do you make that case to your manager? Who do you make that case to?
The case, in some cases, the bully can be the manager, right?
Yes.
So in some cases, really making a real case to HR first. And the thing is, if you're getting all emotional about it, it's not really helpful. You gotta be really specific, really clear in your documentation so that they have a factual-based argument to be able to look on. And if there's a workplace bullying, like let's say rule or some policy within the workplace, if you can have your documentation line up against that to say this runs counter to this policy, you made a stronger argument than you did without it.
And Shola, what can you share with us about Go Together?
Oh, go together. So the workplace book, this is my very first one, Making Work Work, was about the workplace. This one specifically, Jesselyn, was around, that one did really well. I was like, what about the world? There's a lot of toxicity in the world right now, right? So we have, left, right, and Democrat, Republican, and all these people trying to find their own tribes and separate themselves, the opposite of a spiritual practice. The word Ubuntu is an African word that is based in this word, go together. It's based on a quote, if you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together. And the word that drives that is a word called Ubuntu, which means I am because we are. This book is to talk specifically about how to get people to come together, regardless of what side, and most importantly, standing up against people who may take joy in separating us, right? And not just sit back. It's our responsibility to have that conversation. If you're sitting at the Thanksgiving dinner table and Auntie Anne is talking about, something that's racist or homophobic or something that's really inappropriate, having the courage to be like, I think differently about that, or we're not going to do this at my table. This is about having that conversation and having it in a way that's courageous and real.
Just love that. Really fantastic. In your own life, have you, of course, you've been applying this consistently, huh? What would you say is the most difficult part for most people when they're dealing with toxic situations or having a difficult conversation? Is it regulating their emotion? Is it finding the words? What's the most difficult part?
Oh, it's self-doubt.
Yeah.
I mean, we're always thinking that we're the problem, right? I mean, I suffer from it. I suffer from the imposter syndrome, where people kind of like, just another day where no one found out that I don't know anything. That's horrifying, right? It's the worst thing ever. So I tend to be in a place where self-doubt is the thing that stops us so much from doing the right thing. So this book helps people to really build that up in themselves a little bit. And the hardest thing, I think, is that if there's something that we can do in a practical way, we need to be kinder. Just need to be kinder. And there's a quote that drives my work from a guy named Brendan Manning. He says, in every interaction, you're either giving life or you're draining it. There is no neutral exchange. I don't care if it's the guy crossing the street when I walked into the studio, if it's anyone here, that kindness has to be consistent. It's not a spiritual practice if you do it when you feel like it. You have to do it consistently.
Oh, I just love that.
So
It's
beautiful.
fantastic.
What a
Yeah.
beautiful story you have.
Thank you.
Yeah, total, the ultimate, for me, the ultimate purpose to come out of such a dark place and turning it and transforming it into the light. So tell people how they can work with you. Can they work with you personally?
Oh, yeah,
Can they-
absolutely.
So tell us a little bit about that.
The easiest way to find me is at my website is Shola Richards, SHOLA, Richards.com. All my social handles are there. My emails are there. Easiest way to find me is just through those, through the website.
And the books are there?
Books are there and on Amazon and anywhere where books are sold.
That's awesome.
Thanks, Rob.
you
Very
so
sharp outfit, by the way, man.
Takes one to know one right
listen,
there.
I try.
I think you are brothers from another mother.
You guys, man. This
So
next level,
much.
man.
Stay tuned.
Thank
Back
you.
with more Good Morning, LaLa Land.